Slurp-de-diddly-doo, my little chickens, looking very nice today, aren't you? Yeah, look at you. Wow. Anyway, today we're doing a quick and easy phase plant Neurofunk bass with a lot of width and warmth in the low end. Super easy to make yourself, and just need the main copy of phase plant to do it, really. I just got back from the Netherlands yesterday, I believe it was. Yeah, yesterday. I had a show there, as a lot of you know already. I played in Zwolle, which is a city in the eastern side of the Netherlands that I've never been to before. It's very pretty. It's shaped like a star. There's a sort of canals that sort of encircle the centre of the city, and it's literally shaped like a star. It looks really cool from above. I played a show there in a club called Head On, which is a really popular like kind of concert events venue. Really like professional, high quality, like backstage. Super nice. I played with Audio. I supported Audio, who is an absolute legend. He's super polite, lovely guy to hang out with a little bit after the show as well. And he played super hard, and I felt super inspired to do something a little bit more on a harder Neurofunk kind of just gritty sound design edge today. So anyway, let's just dive straight into the patch, because I could talk about my experiences in my life forever, but that wouldn't really help anyone specifically with sound design. So yes, this is I've called it the quick filth because I made it with the most sort of the least amount of kind of work possible. Okay. Anyway, here's what it sounds like, and I'll tweak a few of the macros here as I play it. And we only have 3 macros that sort of change the sound a bit. There's actually no modulators even used. This one here is going to do the speed, obviously, then a bit of grit, and then kind of changing the tone. So let's have a listen with everything as I sort of tweak the macros. So really nice, warm, but gritty also, and quite wide, low-end, intensive Neurofunk bass with a fair bit of grit in the top as well. And so easy to make. Made it like in a couple of minutes. And let's dive straight into the patch then. Maybe I'll turn the grit and the tone down for a moment. That's sort of its cleanest and slowest version. And so what I have is, in terms of the sound sources, I have white noise, which I tend to always have. I have a bit of a granularized sample, one that you can find within the phase plant. And I have 2 sine waves with a healthy amount of FM between everything. Okay, so the sine waves, I've put them in the same group. So this is really cool because you can have... It's how I started the patch, actually. If I take off the distortions and the effects for a moment, and the global unison. So this is how I started. 1 sine wave. I turn up the volume a little bit. -24. Okay. And then I have another sine wave in the same group. So you just click the little line here within the group to add another oscillator in the same group. And here I've got another sine wave, but this is at -12. So it's an octave higher and a little bit lower in volume. So this one's just at 100%. And what I've done is I've FM'd the low one here into the higher pitched one. So I've just gone from the output of the low one here and routed it to the phase of the bottom one and turned this to the left about 20%. So we have a nice... If I take that off again. Yeah, we have a nice bit of FM going, so a bit of grit and a bit of growl in the sine wave already, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the granular sample, and I'm going to route this into the top sine wave. So it's going to go into the phase here of the first one, and because this one's already going into the second one, you know, by extension, this granular is going to make its way through the whole group, you know, because it's going through at the top and then going down. So let's turn this guy on. And this is a really cool one, which just happened to work well with the sine waves. That I was just browsing the sort of presets, and it's under the Alfheim grains folder, and then you've got a folder called chords and the acoustic bright 2 octaves. There's a lot of sounds in this folder that works pretty well with the sine waves. For example, you don't have to select that one, but that's quite a nice folder to use for this particular sound. So I've gone for that one anyway. And obviously the movement, the dun dun dun, that's being controlled by the amount of grains here. Okay. So when you start the patch up, it's normally on. It might be on 4 grains or something. I seem to remember. So it's more of a spread out, lots of grains like quickly at once, so it becomes more of a sustained sound. But when you turn that down, like bring that parameter down quite a lot, then you'll start to get the slower rhythm of the granular sample, and then I'm using that through the sine waves to create like the basic, like the main rhythm for the whole sound, So we could automate that. For example, you could automate that to like, put an LFO on that and make it go fast and then slow, or get more creative and crazy with it. But I was just, I've got that one rhythm, that one movement going, and I wanted to focus the rest of my time just on the tone of the sound, once I've already got like one simple rhythm to follow, okay? So I've taken that down to 0.58, and I put it on a macro so I can shift it a little bit. So I can make it like a little bit quicker if I want. So just track the macro to that. And here as well, I tweaked a couple of things, which is the grain envelope. So this, if you tweak this as well, it's also going to have an effect on the overall rhythm that you're creating and the whole length of the grains, for example. So that's also important. And that's at 199 on this sound. And then all we do then is just select a nice part of the sound where we want to go from, really. And I just picked this little spot over here. And again, when you pick that spot, it's going to choose the grains you're just going to take the little grains from that sample exactly on that line. But if you play with the position percentage, then it's going to make that like selection a bit wider, and then it's going to sort of randomly pick the grains from that wider selection, So if I make it like really high, like 17%, the width is going to be really, really it's going to be really, really wide, and it's going to start picking out some grains from this like spiky, loud transient part, and I don't want that. As you can hear, you'll get these like more harsh, spikes coming in from where it's selecting grains from the loud part. I don't want that, so I've just got the percentage on 2%. So you see these little blips here where it's picking the grains from. So it's not going all the way up to the next sort of loud transient point. So we're just picking those little grains there, and just having that little percent is going to mean it's going to be slightly kind of different, a bit more natural and random, So that's basically that section all done. And I just turn the gain off, okay, as well. You don't hear much of a difference on this sound, but on others you will. But I've got the gain off, so it's only going through into the FM sine wave here. Okay, and for a bit of extra grit, I've got this sync mode here, which it adds some more harmonics into the sine wave, sort of adds some saw wave harmonics essentially, and yeah, I've got that on my grit macro. So if I want to get a bit more of that high end kind of brightness, a bit harsh if you go too heavy with it. But if I want a little bit, I can add that in there. So next, we've just got a bit of white noise, and with the white noise, I have this on a default setting on all my phase plant patches. Just a low percentage of noise, a nice bit of stereo. Sloping it to the left makes it a bit brighter. I'm just using the normal white noise mode here, and then I've thrown a filter on. I've put a filter in here, which is a high pass, as you can see, and going up to about 10,000 hertz or so. So that basically just gives us this bit of audio signal noise in the high end, which is going to mash everything together nicely when we start to distort the sound. And this sound is going to really come alive with a particular mode of distortion that I'm going to add in next. Hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. As you guys probably already know, I teach music production. I have one-on-one mentorship sessions which you can book in directly on my website. Check the calendar there to see when I am available and what suits you, and book yourself in. And I have package discounts. If you want more sessions, you'll get like a cheaper rate. Also, I teach group classes now. I'm doing about one group class per month. I advertise them first to my Patreon members. I have a Patreon also with a Discord. It's €10 a month to get into the Discord, but there's lower tiers on there as well. You can join in and be part of the remix competitions, be part of the community, get email updates and that kind of stuff. You can actually join for free on Patreon as well to get certain updates, so it's definitely worth doing. But if you want like first access to the group classes, then it's best to be in the Discord, because I'll always post the links in there first. And then if there's a few spots left, I'll post them on YouTube or Instagram or something as well. And yeah, of course, I also have production presets for Serum, well, not really for Serum, but for Phase Plant and Vital on my website. I'm working on a new Phase Plant pack, should be out before Christmas, I'm aiming to. Yeah, and also if you guys want to check out my Spotify, that also helps a lot. If you want to listen to some of my tracks, you can find the links in the description to my Spotify as well. And yeah, new label has started this year, and that's growing. And I started that basically just to give something back to my students as well, especially those who have become really, really good, and I want to help push their sound. So we have made a little it's a little label. It's still a baby, but it's something that I'll continue to grow over time. And if you want to support that, you can check out. We have a Bandcamp where you can download tracks from the artists on there, and you can donate via the Bandcamp if you like, or you can also just check out our label SoundCloud. Leave some nice love and feedback. The SoundCloud link will be down below for that as well. And yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. Thanks a lot for watching anyway. Let's continue with the sound design. So this sound is really going to come alive with the distortion, which is going to give a load of nice width. And this is something that's really hard to achieve, but something that's made easy with Phase Plant, because the way that it spreads the sound, you can get that really realistic stereo bass from the beginning, right in the sound design process. So it's no longer a case of you have to add like stereoizers or add like layers or delays to get that width that you're after. You can do it like right from the beginning. So that's why I love some of the modes in Phase Plant. And the first little thing we'll do to stereo the sound is add the global unison. This already does quite a lot. We've got the spread about 25%, the blend about 30%, detuning of 21 cents or so, just on the ×3 mode. And it just really, really brings out a lot of that kind of sub-harmonic part of the sound already. You know, you've got to just pay attention to what it's going to emphasize, because when you start to global unison everything together, it will always react differently, you know. But sometimes it's really beautiful the way it will actually boost the low end as well in a really nice way. So that's sounding cool, but this is where it gets really good with the first distortion, the lane 1, and this is going to be at the sine mode, okay? And I actually have the mix on about 50% here, because it's a bit too stereoed and a bit too overwhelming when I turn it all the way up. Okay, but that's basically where I'm getting all this width from. If we bring that back down to about 50%. And so the spread has been turned up, but it's also the bias mode here and the dynamics that I've shifted around a bit to find that nice balance in the sound. We're driving it quite hard, about 5 or 6 dB, but like you kind of hear, it's really giving us this lovely like low end width, you know, which sounds natural still, you know, but it is a little bit overwhelming with how wide it's become. You know, we might have lost a bit of the power in the mono, so on this one I'm just going to mix it in, like I said, about 50%, but now it's already super stereoed in the low end, you know. So I really, really like the way that it sounds. And now we're going to move on to the last couple of tweaks. So opening up my lane 2, the first thing I've got on here is a ring mod. And this is just sick to add a bit of extra texture in the high end. And it's just like sort of white noising the sound in the high end. I've used this technique like forever. You just go to the modulator band pass noise section, turn the frequency all the way up or quite near to the top, so it's a high end white noise. Turn the bias of the rectifier all the way up or almost all the way up, and then you can just mix in a bit of this kind of clean white noise signal in the high end. I really, really like that. And once we've got that sort of going, all we're going to do next is distort everything again, so just to mix it all together in a sense. So here just going for the sort of classic distortion, the overdrive, which is quite clean, so it's more of a saturation. And then in the high end, we're going to just do a little boost as well with an EQ. Just to bring out some of that sort of noise and grit. Let's turn up the gigawatts a bit here. Add a bit of that grit in. And the tone is, I applied a little macro to the start position of the granular selection, so the tone can sort of be shifted around a bit as well. Okay, so let's stick with this one. I like that a lot. And then finally on the lane 3, I've just got like a tiny delay. So just a little bit of a finish to the sound, you know, a little bit of a natural tail. 1%. Like, that's all you need, really. 1% is still hear it. You definitely still hear it there, you know. Okay, so that's basically it there. And that's the quick filth. So I might not have explained it quickly, but I made it pretty quickly. And if we just recap, all you've really got is this nice acoustic bright 2 octaves from this grains chord folder. And we're just selecting a little portion of the sample, re-looping it by having the grains very, very low, like turning this down a lot. And finding a nice rhythm using that. Running that through a low subby sine wave, which is then also FMing through into a higher sine wave, the sort of, what's it called? The sub harmonic, essentially. And then having that with a tiny touch of white noise, all being global unison and a nice sort of 30% amount, and then running all of that through a nice heavy sine distortion with a great sort of stereo spread and a nice character where it's really sort of just picking the sound apart and adding this like new dimension of width. And we're just being a bit careful with how much of it we use. Only about 50% on the whole mix of that whole lane, and then finishing off the sound by a little bit of a kind of high-end white noise polish on everything, plus a little bit of saturation to get it all glued together again, everything that we've done so far, bringing out the detail in the high end, and then finishing it off with just a tiny bit of delay so it sort of finishes like a bit more naturally. And that's the quick filth. And that's it for today. I quite like the low speed as well. Obviously, when you play higher up the keyboard as well, as I just kind of figured out here. It's obviously going to play a faster rhythm because everything has been tracked not via an LFO with a normal to the grid rhythm. Everything has been done sort of naturally within the sound design process using the grains here. So naturally, a higher note on the keyboard is going to play a faster rhythm, which is cool. It's more natural, more fun, you know? Kind of like a classic Reese does in drum and bass production. So I hope that was a helpful and inspiring video for you guys today. Keep smashing your music and keep experimenting on those days when you don't feel like it. You know, just do a bit of sound design or just get a little bit done here and there. If you're getting stuck on a track, you know, don't let it demotivate you or get you down. If you're stuck on one, just make some sounds, have a bit of fun. And thanks a lot for watching, my G's. I'll catch you in another video or live stream very, very soon. And those of you who are doing the Zugzwang remix competition, thanks for joining that. And we're definitely doing that live stream on the 15th of December for the results of that. And that's going to be a lot of fun. But I'll be around until then anyway. Thanks for watching, my G's. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.